From space to the U.S. Senate to Geraldo Rivera. He was
25 years in the U.S. Senate, almost 24. He had already, look at it this way, he had already auditioned heaven. He had already been up there, and then, but what a wonderful, wonderful hero. I interviewed him a couple of times over the years. Once I interviewed him about the Challenger disaster and whether or not they should have had ejection seats, and he gave me a really heartfelt answer, you know, about that. You just think, why didn't they have a way out? And he said about weight, the weight of the aircraft, and, you know, there were other considerations. Interviewed him also about how we were doing nuclear conferences, and including countries like Iraq, at the time still ruled by Saddam Hussein, in our civilian, atomic energy conferences and symposiums, and they were getting, you know, our secrets from these civilian kinds of get-togethers. But a wonderful, measured, you know, my in-laws are all from Ohio. He's a legend there, an icon there, a great American, and sorely missed. And, you know, from my point of view, at my age, what I remember most is when he jumped out of the airplane and went into space in his late 70s.
That's right.
77 years old, I mean, imagine.
The oldest person to go into space.
Yeah. And also a combat veteran, Marine of 150 combat missions.
Almost 150 missions in World War II in Korea. Absolutely.
Speaking of the military, Donald Trump hiring three generals to be on his cabinet. What do you think about that? So far, yeah.
Well, you know, I've been from 2001 to 2012, kind of one of the senior war correspondents around here, and I have to say that in my entire life, some of the most intelligent, competent, patriotic, effective leaders I have met have been in the military. Some of my best friends, I remember Ray Odierno and John Campbell. John Campbell started as a colonel when the war started. I watched him get 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4. David Petraeus, I met him, as he was bringing the 101st Airborne into Baghdad in 2003. He had 2 stars. Watched him get a 3rd star and then a 4th star, become commander, win the surge, basically, take over in Afghanistan, and get to be director of the CIA before he had his problems.
But you know, there are those on the left who go, you know, he's packing his cabinet with these military guys, setting himself up for a coup.
That's ridiculous.
Of course it is. Or if not a coup, then an overwhelming emphasis on war or combat or engagement.
Right. But it's also, though, about management. Yeah. It's also about competence, isn't it? I mean, why should that exclude someone? I mean, Generals Mattis and Kelly, my goodness, these are some of the best Americans out there. Why not? It is not an accident that they are all appointed to various civilian boards of directors. They get big CEO-type jobs. They are exactly the kind of people that we want in that leadership. And remember Colin Powell in Bush 43's administration. Then you had Alexander Haig before that in Nixon and the Reagan administration. I mean, we have classically we had generals as presidents, Dwight Eisenhower, Ulysses S. Grant, and so forth. You know, I just think that why not tap the best amongst us? I always felt that I was trying to catch up to colleagues who had, like Pete, had actually served. Even though I had around soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines and Coast Guardmen and all the rest of all my career, to not actually wear the uniform and go through the discipline. And I think that Donald Trump also had some of that same insecurity. He went to military school as I did, so had some experience in that regard. But then to not have served and then to be in the company of those who have given so much and sacrificed so much, I always felt a bit insecure about it. I am delighted. You know, even President Obama had Eric Shinseki, remember the general who was a skeptic on whether or not
he had a bunch of generals
Saddam
before he fired him.
Yeah, well, he had Dennis Blair, the admiral. He had James Clapper, the national security.
Look, the left's got to complain about something.
Yeah, but I think that's ridiculous. I think that, to me, now, there are obviously the EPA choice, and there's some of the others that kind of grate on me. I just don't see how they work out. In Oklahoma, we have earthquakes because of fracking, and how can you, I just not sure about, some of the picks. But I am delighted overall. If you're a conservative, this is a magnificent cabinet, and I think some of these picks have been absolutely AAA. I give Trump an A for this prep. He's way ahead of the timetable set by President Obama last time around in terms of this transition. He'll be ready on Inauguration Day.
What do you want him to do as far as illegal immigration is concerned? Because there's a story this morning, 2 women were killed in in Louisville, Kentucky, by a guy who was driving a truck. He had been deported 8 times, an illegal immigrant here. Similar story to what happened to Kate Steinle.
Right. When someone is a repeat offender in terms of coming across the border, they are guilty of a very serious federal crime, unlike the first time. First time you get a freebie.
But 8 times.
He should have been in jail. There's no doubt that he should have been in jail.
He should have been he was deported 8 times. He should have been in Mexico.
But before they are deported, they have to serve 5 years in federal prison. That's the way you deter.
They're supposed to.
That's the fellow in Kate Steinle's case. He had just gotten out of jail. I feel that you have to have a mix of muscle and compassion when you're dealing, to answer your question, Ainsley. I think that I think Kelly's exactly the right guy. He had Southern Command.
Yep.
You know, I watched these guys in action in Colombia against the drug lords. Yeah. You know, they know the border, they know the scene in Latin America.
All connected to that.
And it is absolutely all connected. The drugs are very much connected. I think that I am for absolutely secure borders. Where I am compassionate, and some people are not, are for groups like the Dreamers. They brought here as children by their parents. He has indicated that he's going to show compassion to them, and if he does, that's the constituency.
But if you don't do the wall first, then you get 8-time folks coming in 8 times over again.
That's what happened to Reagan.
Remember, I covered El Chapo, and I was in El Chapo's tunnel, the mile-long tunnel that he got out of the Supermax penitentiary in Mexico. The wall is not going to stop El Chapo. El Chapo's going to tunnel under it. He's going to use drones over. He's going to use boats around. Yeah, it's going to stop Juan and Maria, the grape pickers. If that is a national priority, I have stopped opposing the wall. I no longer oppose the wall. If you want to use infrastructure dollars to build the wall, God bless. Go ahead and do it. I have no serious objection to it. I'm just saying, you know, a 100-foot wall for $1 trillion and a 101-foot ladder for $25, I think that it's a waste of money.
You put Donald Trump and 3 generals in El Chapo's way, and I think he might be stopped.
Well, I would love to. I would love. I mean, that's the people you want to stop.
All right, Geraldo, have a great weekend.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
And Ainsley, #1 best-selling author.
I know. We all sit here humbled by our best-selling author right here in the middle.
You all are so sweet.
Indeed.